discord is being waged within your neighborhood, in your life, on your job,
Yep.
in your marriage,
Yep.
with your children, and whatever have not. What are the practical steps that we need in those moments? I think sometimes we're opening up the conversation. We're
Mhm.
doing our brothers a disservice because we're not giving them everything they need in those moments.
Yep.
Anxiety disorder. It is a mental health disorder characterized by feelings of worry, anxiety, or fear that is strong enough to interfere with one's daily activities. Examples of anxiety disorders include panic attacks, obsessive compulsive disorders, and post-traumatic stress disorder. And also, leaving your phone unlocked so your significant other can go through it, which leads to an even more intense form of anxiety. But anyway, thank you for tuning into the Mind of a Man podcast, where Bush Counseling Services is able to handle all forms of anxiety. And we'll also work with that stupidity of leaving your phone unlocked in front of your significant other. Without further ado, let the conversation begin. Bartender, cue the music!
Welcome to the Mind of a Man podcast. A podcast where men have manversations on topics they rarely discuss, such as health, family, and wealth, to name a few. Now, here's your host, James Bush.
So today we have a very, very acclaimed guest. Man, I didn't even know about the guy to one of my assistants. They brought me to him, and I was like, man, this dude is dope. Eric from Quintessential Gentleman. Welcome to the show.
Yes. So what's going on? Good afternoon. You got me working on a Monday, Labor Day. Come on, man.
Oh, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, my name is James Bush. I'm a therapist. I'm a black guy. Pleased to meet you. And before we go any further, like, subscribe, share, pigeon, whatever you want to do with that. Hit the bell to subscribe for more show content and everything like that. What's that formalized thing that everybody says during a podcast? You know the drill. Appreciate it. So we have Eric. Eric, man, Quintessential Gentleman. Where are you from, Eric?
Originally, I was born in Philadelphia, grew up in South Jersey.
Jersey. Okay. All right. So,
Yeah.
well, give me some cities in there because I'm familiar with that to some extent. I know Linden, Elizabeth,
Yeah. I'm
Newark.
in Sicklerville, which is kind of close to Deptford, Williamsburg,
Fort Dix.
Williamstown.
Oh,
Nah. We like 20 minutes outside of Philly.
20 minutes outside of Philly. Okay, now Philly I am familiar with. Definitely familiar with that. All right. Well, Eric, this is a little unconventional, but I would like to start off with a game. We can call it game time. If you get all 5 questions right, you get a little bit Mind of a Man podcast swag.
Okay.
If you don't get any of them right, well, you tried.
Sounds good.
Ready? Let's get started. Okay. The founder of Atari also founded which restaurant?
Founder of Atari. Pardon me, wants to say Soldier Boy right now. Atari would be, let's just say Domino's.
Sorry, Eric. There goes your swag. The answer is Chuck E. Cheese.
God, that ain't even a pizza restaurant.
Hey, man. The answer is Chuck E. Cheese. Okay, all right. Let's see. Well, he missed one, so no swag is available to him. Let's see if we can go easy on him a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Question number 2. What is the subtitle, traditional version of the board game Monopoly? If you don't get this one, man, I don't blame you. I don't even know this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even tell you last time I played Monopoly. No, if we're gonna skip. I'm gonna say something. Enterprise game.
Nah. fast dealing property trading game. There you go.
Okay.
I don't know where the hell that came from. But
Okay.
let's see.
That was an easy one. Got it.
We gonna move on a little bit more with this one. All right, you got, man. Look, you from the East Coast. You gotta know this one. What Boston Celtic great was nicknamed Hondo?
It's not Rondo.
Hondo.
Rondo. You said Hondo. It's not Rondo. Whose nickname is Hondo? I don't even like the Celtics. We're gonna go and say who came up with these things? We're gonna say what's old boy's name? I don't even know. Let's just say Mutombo, only because I know he played for the Sixers.
No.
Who was that?
It's John Havlicek. But that's all right. We about to pull out the emergency question in a few minutes though. Is this question?
I hope I get one right.
Who created the Fantastic Four superhero team?
Who created it?
Yes.
Not Dr. Doom.
You're thinking too hard. You're thinking too hard.
No, you mean like Stanley? Like boy?
Yeah, there you
Marvel?
go.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Right. Here we go. You know
Stanley.
what?
There you go.
Look, man. If you didn't get that one,
interview done.
It was about to be like, where is the birthplace of Quintessential Gentleman? Because that's what we were. All right, man.
And I'd be like, oh.
Wow. Yeah. See, man. I'm okay. I got you. Look, you got. Look, man. Do us right with this last.
Don't put this
question
pressure. Don't do this pressure.
What kind of dinosaur is the Flintstones Dino?
Oh hell.
Man, this is a bad one. Cause I ain't even know this.
This is a bad one. Damn. Dino. Let's just say he's a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Nah, man. He is a Snorkosaurus. A Snorkosaurus.
All right. This don't even count. Nope.
All right, man. Moving along. Let's get back, man.
Move fast along. Edit that part out.
Let's get back to what Eric knows best, and that is Quintessential Gentleman. I got to start out with saying, brother, what gave you the idea to create this wonderful idea?
Sure. So, started the Quintessential Gentleman back in 2016. And just around that time, which is unfortunate, you're still seeing it today, but, Black men were being killed by police officers. And then the narrative in the media was, I just saw it everywhere. I just saw, Black men being killed. I saw Black men still being profiled.
Mm-hmm.
I see the narratives of Black men not taking care of their kids, having a lot of drama. And I didn't see any platforms that really spoke to uplifting Black men. I didn't see any of that. And anything that I did see that had Black men focus in it was related to fashion. And I really just wanted like a lifestyle brand. I wanted something that's going to, energize me. Or when I see someone, I want to be just like him. Or I hear this man's story and I'm like, oh, this is dope. I can learn from here, get some nuggets, all of those type of things. So that's why I created the Quintessential Gentleman as a way to show the positive things of Black men, as well as to show, the exquisite style that we have. We like luxury. I come from an advertising background where I know that Black media and Black and dollars that's being used for advertising did not come from luxury brands and being advertised to Black men or Black people. So I already knew that the idea of us purchasing luxury or us buying Benz or, liking nice homes or any of those type of luxury things, we weren't being advertised to. They didn't think they could afford. They didn't think, we were their demo. So a part of Quintessential Gentleman is also an aspirational piece, so where we show a lot of luxurious type of thing or an aspirational idea for Black men to be like, okay, I see this. This is something I want. This is something I'm working towards. This is something that, I can, either build wealth with or, start a company and be able to achieve those type of things. So that's how it started in a nutshell.
Man, dude, that's dope. And I think you are definitely doing and making steps to achieve that purpose. I mean, I was sitting and I was looking at your website, and I was looking at some of the topics about essential items that everybody needs to have in their wardrobe, talking about mental health and things along those lines. And it's funny because sometimes people, when they talk about what I do for a living as a therapist or just anybody like this, they don't consider that it's a holistic approach, point of view. It's one of those things where I think was it Deion Sanders says it's if you look good, you feel good. If
Yeah.
you feel good, you play good. If you play good, they pay good, or something like that. And all of this is a part of it. I butchered it, but Deion ain't gonna beat me. He ain't worried about me. So my thing is that it's a holistic approach to these things, and part of it is just, man, the stuff that you do before you go to bed, as you get up in the morning, how you approach life. What are some of the lessons that you have? Unfortunately, in our society, we've been built or conditioned to think that a lot of this stuff just happens. You're just supposed to become a quote unquote happy all of a sudden out of nowhere, and that's unfortunate. I mean, because we're missing the mark on that. It doesn't work like that. That's not how we're wired. That's not how we operate. There are steps to us getting better and becoming better fathers, becoming better husbands or partners, becoming better just people. And so I'm glad you have it in there. Give me one of the wildest interviews. No names now. I don't want nobody bother. But
no names.
You've done.
Wildest. I won't necessarily. Wildest only as it pertains to how comfortable they were, and I'll say his name because this isn't a bad thing or anything. But we interviewed Tank during the pandemic, and that was kind of like our first IG live. We were in that space where everyone was kind of jumping into the IG lives and more like celebrities. Before, they never really did that whole IG live interview thing, but when the pandemic hit, everyone needed to get their stuff out there and start building content and stuff. So I interviewed Tank, and just how comfortable he was and how the conversation flowed. People were hitting me up like, hey, did you know him? Do you know him beforehand? Like, the conversation was so dope. And then I remember him saying something. He had said something like, yeah, I'm just in this room, this small room, I'm tired or whatever. Meanwhile, at that time, I was in a studio apartment in New York City. So he talking about complaining about this huge room. He's like, yeah, sorry for you. And rotated his room to show his whole room. I was like, wow, okay, you just go, all right, that's cool. But yeah, Tank was definitely a dope interview. We spoke about just everything, how it's feeling, how, not being on the road and being during that time, during the pandemic, and hearing from somebody, like Tank, who, I've listened to growing up, being a fan, all of those type of things, to just connect with him and just be so genuine with the conversation. It was a wild experience for sure.
I mean, the main thing you said was he was comfortable. And I think sometimes when people find a level of comfort, that's what they teach us in therapy, is that us building rapport. Once you build a therapeutic rapport or alliance with someone, you can go wherever you want to go with them in any type of question or so like that. Now, when you don't do that, you have people just sitting up
it goes left.
At you, it goes left, and it's like, how long before I have to leave and I'm to get out of here? And I'm like, you know what?
Right.
It's like, you already paid your copay. But anyway.
Right.
Oh, hey, I ain't playing with that one. But
it's true.
it's definitely necessary or so like that, of being able to have that rapport, have those conversations or anything like that. I mean, so I guess I see you as someone as a journalist, interviewer. The list goes on and on. The words escape me right about now. But when it comes to just people's lives or stuff like that, what is one commonality or one common thread that you've noticed when you're talking to different individuals? I mean, because I've seen you interview a plethora of celebrities and there's not celebrities. What's the common thread?
I always say our platform, when we speak to public figures and celebrities and things like that, we want to have conversations that are not normally had. So, for instance, if we were to, just an example, interview a football player, I don't really care about if you're being traded, how it felt when you were being traded, or, how many points you have and all of those type of things. But what I do care about is, how do you have work-life balance? How are you able to how does your fundraising, like what were you able to do from a philanthropic standpoint? So those type of conversation that I normally have with celebrities and public figures, they really appreciate and we really get to go deeper with. And what I realized specifically for Black men, that's who we talk to, that's our target audience, is we all have traumas. And we don't know how to deal with those traumas. And again, another reason why I created the platform was really to be able to create a safe space for Black men to have these conversations. We don't have enough conversations about, our mental health, have conversations about what it's like to be a man. The things that we heard. I mean, even having a PCP, primary care physician, that's something Black men, they normally, I think it's getting better. I'll definitely say it's getting better, but they don't like going to the doctors. A lot of times if they have a woman in their lives, they're the ones that's pushing them to go get a doctor, get the checkup, all of those type of things. So creating this platform really, for me, it's providing a safe space to have conversations that I feel that we need to have. And I feel like when I have my interviews and have those conversations with people, we really speak candidly and we talk about things. We unintentionally, the conversation comes up just because of the thought process that I have about what I want to get across and the type of conversations that I'm gonna bring up, which, as a journalist, as an interviewer, that's what you're trying to do. But it really does open up to people really having real, authentic conversations about the things that they're going through. I know we just interviewed, and now remembers,
Don't get
Ronaldo. I'm trying to remember Ronaldo. No, we just interviewed. The interview's on our website. But, he was talking about before he got the roles, he's like in the reboot of The Wonder Years. He's then a new Stars Heels, like all of these shows that he's a part of. He was like, I was, during the pandemic stuff, I was dealing with, depression. And this, like me getting fit was, me dealing with it and things like that. So again, those type of conversations really birthed out of the platform that we've created to have those type of open dialogues.
All right, so now, man, you didn't just said a whole bunch, man, and a guy like me has got to be just opinion. So, from your point of view, you're a guy.
Sure.
Been on the show for a little bit, longer, a little bit. We've seen a couple.
Oh, not too long.
Hey, we ain't doing all that. You are who you are. You believe it's so hard for guys to have those types of conversations? What's happening? What's taking place?
Well, one, I feel like they were never told that it was okay to have those conversations. And it's really from a development standpoint. I always say, and again, I'm not a doctor, please, that's why you here. All my conversations just kind of based out of experiences and then having conversations with other people. So, a lot of times there's a development phase. A lot of the traumas and the things that you deal with are childhood things that you have not dealt with and you have carried on into your adult life. So, when you have your father or your mother, don't cry, boys don't cry, get it together. You have to have this exterior that is hard. And then when you get older and let's say you're dating a woman or whoever you're dating, and if you cry, they look at that as weakness. So now you don't know how to digest or how to deal with your feelings. We did a platform, we did a little series called Black Men Get You Some Therapy, and we did that back in the beginning of 2020. And we sat down with three black mental health advocates and really had conversations on the various topics of mental health and things like that. But what the commonality was that there was black men did not feel like they could speak on those things. And then also not even realizing that the person next to you either has dealt with it, or is dealing with it at that point in time. And the lessons you could learn by having those conversations with your boy, he could help you get through some things. Y'all can help each other. But because you don't want to be weak in front of your boy, or you don't want to feel like you can't cry or don't want to tell him what's in your business, those conversations go unheard, and then people have no outlet and don't deal with it. So
it's funny you said that, because when I was looking at it, and you're right, we don't have those conversations. We haven't been taught. And what I like to think sometimes is that, for the most part, there's some outliers to it, but for the most part, maybe men are very practical and logical, in their reasoning, just step-by-step approach. So if you show us what to do, more than likely we'll be able to duplicate that on what is being instructed of us to do. Like, for instance, you had a football player or the basketball player say, or a football player, wide receiver, 5, 5 again, flag run a post, whatever.
Right.
But when it comes to life stressors, when it comes to dealing with trauma, who is telling us or instructing us on how to handle those issues?
Right.
Because there's a statement now that says, okay, you're allowed now. Now the statement or the rhetoric is the narrative. You're allowed to cry as a man. Right. You're allowed to be yourself. You're allowed to be human or so. But life is still moving by. There's still a war that's being waged within your neighborhood, in your life, on your job, in your marriage, with your children, and whatever have not. What are the practical steps that we need in those moments? I think sometimes we're opening up the conversation. We're doing our brothers a disservice because we're not giving them everything they need in those moments.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's not going to happen overnight. You have to start. I'm happy that the conversations are here. I know we had posted something probably a couple of weeks ago where, something on post or whatever, but then, we commented and said, like, and here are some resources for you to look at if you, can't afford insurance, or looking to do telecommunication, all those type of things, because it is imperative to give people the resources. To your point, you can't just tell me what the problem is but don't have no solution. Like, I need you to, what can you do? How can you bring it? What are the opportunities for? So now I'm self-aware. I know that I have an issue. For me, I personally have anxiety. And what's so crazy to me from a personal standpoint is me realizing I have anxiety, but then putting that into the world to my followers, or the people that follow me, my friends and things like that, and them saying, I deal with the same thing. So now it became a post. And then when I posted something on my personal page and I said, talked about anxiety. And then after I, said that this is what anxiety is, or high functioning anxiety and all that type of things, my next slide was, and this is how you can deal with it. And then so many people, that's great. That's crazy. You don't even realize that so many people are dealing with those type of things. So it's real. It's a real conversation.
And I think that's, for us, is something that is definitely needed in this generation, because we're very skeptical. I mean, we've got these computers in our hands where we can research anything anybody says at any given time. And we need facts. We need stuff that's going to work. We don't need a bunch of fluff. We ain't looking for a magic pill. Yes, we have faith, but we also want to see some works as well with it too.
Some work. Yep.
And so that's some of the big things that are coming into play. Now, I want to jump back to something you were talking about earlier, because it kind of is very interesting. And I mean, you're in the magazine and the marketing, the publication business, and you're depicting individuals in a certain light. And you said that you didn't see a lot of that for Black men being done in a positive way. Give me a little bit more information about that, because that's very key right there. I mean, because we have for a lot of the magazines that men consume, whether it's sports related,
Mhm.
adventure, hunting and fishing, um, whether we're looking at, man, the voluptuous opposite sex or whatever I have not.
Yep.
That's very interesting. I mean, that
Yep.
there are not a lot of things that are depicting us in a very positive way.
I mean, you got to think about it. You know, you
Okay.
tell me right now what magazines you have and look at the ones that are specific to Black men, that are catered to Black men,
Okay.
because you'll have all these other publications, and they'll put a Black man on the cover, or normally it's a celebrity, a political figure, or a football player, athlete, or something like that. But you know, or then you have the other side of it, which is you have the music piece of it, where you have the music magazines where they're talking about what they talk about from a musician perspective, and we won't go deep into that thing. And then you have the other side, which is fashion. And for me, what I always say the catalyst and what really prompted me to create this was Black women. Black women have been able to create spaces for them to really, to grow. They have workshops. They've been able to galvanize together and really uplift each other. And I did not see that. Not saying it was not in existence. It just, to me, it wasn't readily available, or maybe I wasn't looking for it. Maybe it wasn't in my face. I don't know. But for me, I didn't see something similar to like an Essence, an Ebony for Black men, and why is that? And then I later found out, there's some advertising and stuff that goes into it. So, you did have publications for Black men, but the advertisers and the people who are keeping those type of magazines and platforms afloat focus their money on Black women, because at a point in time, in order to get to Black men, you would get to Black women, because they were the ones who were running the household. They were the ones who were paying the bills, making sure it's getting done. They're the ones going to the groceries, not paying the bill. They're, you're giving them the money, and then they're, paying the bills and making sure doing all that type of stuff. But advertisers felt that they didn't need to talk directly to Black men, because the Black woman would get them what they need to do. They're the ones actually purchasing a lot of the things. As we've started to grow, you now see Black men are very interested in their grooming, their beauty. They're interested in, we became, a lot more vain. We really, we care about how we look. We care about all those type of things. We're living by ourselves. I even saw something the other day that was saying that like relationships and things like that from this younger demographic is not as many as it was before. So now Black men are doing their own thing. Now you have Black men who are now able to marry other men, or Black men in general are able to marry other men. So now you have a whole target demo that you can't reach by just targeting females or targeting women. So the whole ideology now has to change on how you're going to talk to these men who have now come into a new culture. It is a new world. So for me, it's important to create a space to let people know that this is how if you go to this platform, you will be able to reach Black men. That's the idea. For me, that's it. From an advertiser perspective, it goes, if you want to talk to Black men, you need to stop by the Quintessential Gentleman. That's the idea I have for advertising. But then from a Black man perspective, it's, if you want to know what's going on, or you want to have some ideas, you want some inspiration, you want to be engaged, you want to, have those type of things, you want to go stop by the Quintessential Gentleman. You want to, check out their Instagram, check out their feed, and I think what's so interesting about our platform is that we're not a monolith. And what we've been able to do is that, some platforms have, I would say, outperformed us in terms of being able to have a certain amount of social media followers and all of those type of things, because they're niche. So if they're Black men, they're Black men in fashion. And if you think about it, specific, that Black men, they're going to see that, they're interested in fashion. That's why they built their group. But what I would say about the Quintessential Gentleman is it's multifaceted. You'll have fashion here. Some people may not have fashion. You may get, an op-ed that will post on, maybe voter suppression, but then we'll go ahead and do an interview with someone that just started a TV show dedicated to Black men or inspired by Black men. So for us, our subject matter is very vast, but it allows us to be able to grab a lot more people as it pertains to the interest that they may be looking for.
Well,
if that makes sense.
Flag on the play. Flag on the play. Flag on the
Sure.
play. Ladies and gentlemen, when I looked at his social media followers on one of his pages, there ain't 100 people on there. I'm just saying.
No, I mean, yes, we've done well. We definitely have a presence, yes. but I say that to say that the content, it's different, and it's not one particular, one person who follows us may not be interested in everything that we post, because we just have so many different categories that we capture. That's all.
Right. Yeah, I get that. So let me ask you this, because I got about maybe 10 minutes. I got to kick you off.
Yes. Sure.
So, do you talk to your audience about relationships specifically? Yes or no?
So, no.
No. Okay. And why not?
No. Honestly, we have not. It's funny because we started out with like this writing, kind of like a pen pal type of thing in the beginning. And I just think that we didn't have the resources to be able to keep it up, to make it make sense. What, from a relationship perspective, it just became very, very tough. And for me, I'm a little bit OCD. So like, if we have someone in that space, I want someone that can really speak to relationships, have a relationship expert. I don't know if I feel comfortable with just our regular team, just writing content on there, because I feel like relationships honestly, you really just giving your opinion on your relationship based off of your experiences that you have. So it's so hard, and it's never really been a major focus of ours. We've had conversations before about bringing up that type of storylines that would allow people to kind of tell their stories, and then you kind of provide feedback. What would you do? How would you feel? Those type of things. So to quick answer, no, we don't. It's something we're looking to do in the forward. We're always trying to figure it out. We just haven't figured it out just yet. How we want to tackle it.
We'll keep you right there. Because I'm going somewhere with this. So you started in 2016. Am I correct?
Yep.
Now, then I want to say maybe the last year or two, there has been more conversations amongst males on social media about relationships.
Okay.
Have you seen that?
I have.
Give me some of your quick thoughts on why you think in this time frame, in this age, that we are doing this, because the social media has been out for a while. Men have been in barbershops talking but for some reason it's louder. I mean, I'm not saying it's deafening, but you can't miss it nowadays. And again, Quintessential Gentleman, the Black Male magazine, man. Why is that? Did something happen? Is it a byproduct of the Me Too movement? I mean, did something take place in our society which says, guys, we need to start having these discussions right now because we're off. Something's wrong.
I think, honestly, it's just us having conversations in general, and this is just an offspring of it. So, again, in the recent years, we've now started to cultivate and have these type of conversations. There's a lot of, different things that I look at and, podcasts I listen to and things like that speak to that. But one thing, I definitely think the Me Too situation, the movement really did affect men as it pertains to checking each other. It's like now you realizing like the things that you're saying is not okay. So you had that charge back of having conversations that way. But then on the flip side, it's okay, you have a conversation about Me Too, but is this really a Me Too situation? How far does it go? Where am I able to go? Where am I not? So there was another conversation on that end too, to where it felt like, okay, some people are being victimized just, because someone is saying something. There's no facts, there's no nothing. But once you say anything, it now felt like people start to run with it. So those are two parts of the conversation that Me Too that happened. Then I also think the pandemic, it birthed a lot of these conversations. One, because now you are not stuck. You were quarantined with your partner. It is like now, it's not like you just going home. I mean, you going to work, you at least get 8 hours that you could, 12 hours of whatever that you're free. And this is 24 hours that you had to be stuck with them. And I think from that, you really felt a lot of relationships, either they was going to make it or they wasn't going to make it. And from the people who did make it, you started to have conversations. How did you guys do it? What did we do? How did that happen? And I feel like that kind of started to birth these conversations about men describing either, how they can, how they could have been better fathers, how they could be better husbands. And I think that it was a good space for us to go into, because it did open up those conversations that never really happened before. And I think what I do see, which I'm happy about, is accountability. A lot of people are having conversations. A lot of men are holding their friends, their coworkers, their colleagues, or whatever accountable, especially when they had those type of conversations. So we talking right now, and you say something, but I don't really think that that's right or that's okay. There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of arguments that go on based off of the ideology of what two parties have. And I think that really did birth over the pandemic.
I mean, one thing about the pandemic, it gave a lot of people a lot of time to think. A lot of the distractions that they had that they were used to, whether it be a side chick, a side piece, side piece number one with an extra biscuit, side piece number two, man, with coleslaw. You couldn't get to them because one, you was kind of worried about, man, if I go over there, man, am I going to catch COVID and this thing going to take me out? And so it gave you more time to sit in the house and just think and ponder the path of your feet. What am I doing? Who is this person that I'm in a relationship with? What is her name? What is her middle name? I'm not. Look, Eric, you think I'm being funny, but it's the amount of people that came across my couch on different issues when it comes to black men and relationships, or just relationships in general. It's astonishing. It's amazing, and it's only when you put people in a box or in a secluded area for a large amount of time, and force them to kind of work it out. Force them to do things that they haven't done. Force them to work through conflict. Force them to communicate. Force them to be able to agree to disagree, to cool down before just going and letting an argument perpetuate even further. I think that's what has happened, and it's somewhat it's great because it's a opportunity for growth. But then, on the other hand, it's like if you're not, I would say, if you haven't had the prerequisite classes or courses or upbringing to be able to foster that growth, it ain't gonna be too good.
But I mean, but in that point, that is a good thing, because I will say this: I feel as though there are a lot of people that are unhappy and are choosing to live a certain lifestyle. I would say this: New York, you got a whole bunch of people that's unhappy. But this rent is so high that I like this life that we have. That's a two income that I'm good. I'd rather do that than to be happy and gotta live in a studio or somewhere I can't afford or I can't make, or whatever the case may be, living in a particular city. So, for me, in all seriousness, it really did allow people to realize that I'd rather figure out that this is not going to work now. And then, I move on. We move forward and realize that I do find my happiness, or I can find someone that makes me happy. A lot of times there's, people stay with people because of their kids. They live their lives, all those types of stuff, and are happy. And I feel like the pandemic, it cut all of that. It really did cut all of those type of ideas of forcing you to go, because you realize that, nah, I don't want this. Like, I got to do this. Like, what if I had to be in the pandemic? Because before, when the pandemic was only, it's only going to be 2 weeks, I could deal with it. A month, cool. But then as you start to get to that second, third month, you had no idea how long we were going to be in this pandemic, this quarantine, this whatever. And it really did charge people up to really identify like, yeah, this is not how I want to spend the rest of my life, being with this person, even after the pandemic, and we're able to do stuff. So, I definitely think it opened eyes to people for sure.
Definitely, man. But before I let you go, one
Sure.
thing I want to say is, dude, keep doing your thing. And the reason I say that is I was on a podcast or something not too long ago, and there's the announcer of the radio, the personality is James. You think it's too many podcasts out there? And I said, I don't think so. I mean, and if you continue to go back through history, let's just say recent history, you had the 80s, you had the crack epidemic, a lot of displaced families, a lot of fathers not home, with their, sons, and giving them guidance, giving them tools, teaching them. And so you look at the impact of the quote unquote war on drugs and what it did to the Black community and minority community as well. And where we all are now, 20 some odd, 30 some odd years later, we are adults. We have kids. We have mortgages. We have lives. And seeing publications like yours, where you're giving just practical tips on things that we possibly should have learned from our parents, they weren't around. And it's a blessing. It's awesome. And I implore you to continue to do that because a lot of us need that. We need that information out there. Without it, I mean, there is no guidance. There is no step-by-step, manual or rule book on how to achieve or how to do certain things because guess what? We were never taught. And it's hard to punish people for things that they just don't know because they didn't understand it. And so when I see publications like yours and I see the podcast and I see guys, some of my colleagues who are therapists and so I'm like, look, keep doing what y'all doing because we need that. We got a lot of ground to make up and cover.
There's enough people. We all can eat. And I tell people all the time, like, this nothing. I want more. Let's collaborate. Let's figure out how to make it make sense. You do your thing. I'm going to big you up. I believe in supporting, I believe in supporting us, supporting our culture, all of that. Have to.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Most definitely. Eric, tell us where we can find the magazine.
Sure. So Quintessential Gentleman, you can find it on our website. It's theqgentleman.com. And then that's also our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and LinkedIn as well. The Q Gentleman.
Awesome. Once again, Eric, man, thanks, man, for tuning in. Thanks,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Rapping with us on a holiday as of itself. Sorry for the questions.
No, I'm done with the questions. Nope, never again. Nope.
Hey, man,
appreciate it, brother.
Shout out to the Quintessential Gentleman. That was a dope interview. Shout out to Eric too, man. He's very entertaining. I mean, again, to get up that time of morning to talk to me, he's a cool guy. Okay? I want to talk about the magazine he's doing and the depictions that he's broadcasting, or should I say broadcasting, or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. But it's important that we have these depictions to show our young men about how men look. So, the essence. We all don't look like some type of hoodlum or a gangster. There are many facets of being a man in our society today. And it's great that he is one of many, and hopefully many more, that will take part in this process. Okay. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to give you a little bit of nerd rule, a little nerd out real quick. So did you know that when the brain is forming or developing before the age of 14 years old, I guess we'll say maybe around about 2 to 5 or 6 or so, it looks like a hairball. There's all these axons and these wires and nerve endings or so. And it's recording everything that is happening in our lives at that point in time. And so what happens next? Well, as you get older, the stronger you see things, the stronger the attachments. Well, let me put that better. Let me word that better. The more you see things, the more tentacles and entanglements of the brain nerve endings and wires that are crossed. So it's like they say, what fires together, wires together. You see your mom get beat, we're wiring. You see all drugs, alcohol, sex, and everything, it's wiring together. However, around the age of 14, the brain system will do something. We used to call it hysteresis. It begins to prune back. So those connections that are not as strong, they dissolve. They go away. And the stronger ones, they maintain. Now, the crazy thing is we wonder why we are the way we are. A lot of times it's what's happened to us in development. So keep that in mind. That's why it's great to have depictions like, the Quintessential Gentleman. We need to see more representation of things like that. So once again, shout out to Eric. Cool interview. Arrivederci. I don't know what language that is in right now. It's hot and I'm tired, but you can figure it out.